Hello everybody, and welcome again to the part B of the video Enchanted or Endangered by Sleep. Today I'm not starting with the breath work because I'll be sharing a practice towards the middle of the video which involves breath work as well and is very aligned with today's topic. So let's start. Fallon mentions in her book Fourfold Path to Healing, that it is a humbling fact that in spite of the many discoveries of modern science, we still have very little idea which factors in food need to be present in order to facilitate the promotion of optimal health. And that is following is the part that I love the most in this approach. All we can really do is eat the best quality food and let our intestines, liver, pancreas, blood, and cells sort out the biochemistry of the body. I love this approach because it moves us out from the confusing and contradictory information that we have, all the new discoveries that are coming out every day, and the latest tendencies in diets to come back to the basics of relying in food as nutrition for our bodies. Also, from studying the commonalities of the healing traditions like Ayurveda, Chinese medicine, Greek medicine, homeopathy, physiomedicalism, vitalism, alchemy, medical astrology, and anthroposophical medicine. There are so many other medicines that have existed as traditions in the world. From those ones, we can infer that the approach to deal with imbalances is to focus in diet, lifestyle, and the management of the emotions. These help us to see the energetics of the body, tissues, and the contributions in lifestyle on the illnesses. Under this approach, nutrition and healing focuses on the uniqueness of each person, which not only contributes with the physical health, but even include practices in the lifestyle to reach deeper level of purpose in life. This is then a completely different way to see and learn about nutrition. It's not only the use of food or herbs for healing, but considering also the energetics of the body and the other factors like lifestyle, the cultivation of the mind, and even the reverence for food. This is what we call a holistic view of us. In this topic specific of nutrition, it is also important to remark that today, even when we are turning our attention more and more to natural ways of healing, and in this case we are starting to consider, for example, the healing benefits of herbs, still we are using the herbs under an allopathic perspective, using the particular herb for treating the symptoms and ingesting the herb in the same way we ingest a pill. This is still a mistake because we are not connecting with the herb and the energetics of the herb. We have to turn to a more holistic evaluation that sees the person in the different aspects of life, and in the case of taking herbs, we should learn to connect and speak the language of nature so we can understand how a specific herb can support. An example here can illustrate better. Let's assume that two persons have a headache. Under an allopathic perspective, they will take the same pill to deal with the pain. If they prefer to go with natural approaches, they probably will be taking the same herb. A holistic view, instead, will analyze the root of the headache that will probably be different for each person. One person might be facing high levels of stress, and the other person may have the headaches due to an eyesight problem. In this case, the herb will be different for each person, as there will be the adjustments in their lifestyle and the different areas of life, like the psychological area, the emotional, social, intellectual, the spiritual, and even the creative level. If we see people in this way, this will change not only the way we take care of our body and mind, but also how we relate with others. And this is what is called nutrition from a holistic perspective and from the perspective I want to speak in the videos to come in the future. Now, let's move to the fun of cooking, full presence on cooking. As I mentioned before, many illnesses come from difficult relationship with food and self-nourishment. To some extent, this is happening because we underestimate the importance of the basics like food, breath, and shelter. And in terms of food, we have to be able to know what to do, what do we like, and how to meet the needs, including the basics of nutrition. Food and nourishment is a very basic need of human being, one that is unattended at the moment, in spite of the reality shows, all the cooking channels, and the diversified restaurants options that we have available. For this reason, cooking at home makes us responsible for a primordial human need. Once we start spending more and more time in the kitchen, some side effects will unfold. We appreciate more the ingredients and the way they arrive to our kitchen. This leads us immediately to honor nature, its abundance, and treat with respect the ingredients we prepare. From there, once again, it's very easy to experience that unscientific fantasy of heart opening, because we are able to send our love to ourselves and others through our dedication in what we prepare. We start thinking more often where our food comes from, and with time we make better choices when we go out for shopping. Also, a natural awareness develops when we realize the amount of waste that we generate in the kitchen, especially in terms of plastic, and we start looking for options to lessen the burden of resources needed to bring the food into our table and the burden into the environment. On this point, if you look at how much plastic is surrounding the food that you get from, not from the farmer's market usually, but in the supermarket, is really astounding. Everything needs to be wrapped in plastic bag. I invite you to observe how much plastic comes with your shopping. Just take a note of that and see if there is any way in which you can lessen the impact of your dependence on plastic. Another side effect of home cooking is that meal after meal we develop the ability to trust in our intuition, to cook from scratch, our intuition to mix ingredients, our intuition to choose what is healthy for us. And with a sharpened intuition, we start making better choices not only in the kitchen but in the life. Usually there is an example I always share when I'm giving some lectures in nutrition and food and cooking, and is that it seems that in the last years we have lost the connection with our senses. Cooking helps us definitely to come back to that and touch again our senses and trust our senses. We have reached the point that we need in the food products that we find in the supermarkets an expiration date, consume before buy. We are not able to use our nose to identify if our food is good or not for intaking. We have to put a date. So this is the point where we have reached, and we have to return back just to believe in the power of our senses. From there we can skip some more hassle and misinformation that exists today. Lastly, in the point of cooking, it can become a therapy itself whenever needed, because it's an extremely effective grounding and satisfying practice. Imagine in those times in life when we feel overwhelmed, when we take a deep breath, just putting our hands on raw ingredients, chopping them, moving them around, moving us around the kitchen, and turning the fire on to cook, bring us into the state of presence and stillness immediately, and hence spice up our life. Even more, we observe how our dedication transforms simple ingredients in a meal that not only nurture the body but the mind. It is a very powerful tool to manage anxiety, stress, depression, disconnection, loneliness. My invite today is to watch less reality shows and cook more at home. Now let's move our attention to full presence on eating. This is the fourth element that is part of the group of educational videos that are coming as foundations for well-being. So let's recap the other elements. The first one is physiology of the body, followed by nutrition awareness. Then we move into cooking, and lastly we move to how we eat. For man, eating is a social activity, much different from humans than for animals. Again, Sally highlights that while animal nutrition is completely instinctual, man has developed a culture of eating that raises him above the animal stage. Animals feed, but humans eat. For man, the activity of eating involves far more than just putting food into our mouth. It invokes the pleasure of many senses: smell, touch, taste, sight, and even hearing, and affects the driving force inside of us, as also affects the mind. The activities of cooking and eating combine ritual, talent, and social skills. And just as regaining and maintaining health require achieving balance between opposites, so the provision of food for the physical body also requires a healthy balance between two extremes, one that pays no attention to food at all, and one that makes a fetish out of eating. This last one was the reason for my love affair with food, nutrition, and well-being for many years, as I shared with you in the previous set of videos called How to End a Love Affair and Get Over It. Primitive man spends much of his effort engaging in hunting, foraging, and food preparation. Modern man eats on the run and devotes almost no time or thought to his food. The very first lesson to be learned about feeding the physical body is that food preparation cannot be left to others, especially not to large corporations, whose motive is profit and not quality. The challenge of modern men and women involves dedicating a certain amount of time for food preparation and meals into a busy lifestyle, along with a recognition that the way we cook and eat has a profound effect on in the quality of our life, our state of the health, and the nourishment of the mind and the soul. Another point is the profound link between food gathering and celebrations. Recently, I came across with the documentary called Taste and See, which I highly recommend you to see it, where they explain how gathering for eating teaches us that there is uncertainty, that maybe it's the last time to eat together, and because of that, we make the most of the moment. Especially, I love the following sentence in the movie: acknowledge that the table is a portal into an eternal time. Something dies when something is nourished. Food is an expression of celebration and gratitude. When we cannot feast, means that nothing can be celebrated. And at this point, I invite you to close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Inhale. Exhale slowly. Take another deep breath. And exhale slowly. In this moment, bring a memory into your mind of a moment where you gather around the table with your family, friends, or loved ones. The difference of that gathering is that there were someone in the table who is present. In this present today is not with you because he or her has passed away. He or she is not here with you now, but was with you in the table sharing of this memory that you are bringing to your mind. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe, recall the moment, recall the smiles, the laughs, the faces of everybody during that gathering. Look at the person who is not with you now. Do you feel she or her closer to you now? Continue breathing slowly. If for some reason your breathing starts being faster, or you reach any emotional state, slow down your breathing. Come back to your breathing. Now check which emotions emerge. Continue the breathing. Make very clear in your mind that memory, that moment. Maybe you even remember the food you were eating and the food that your loved one who passed away already loved the most. Now feel the air around you. Feel how the air comes inside your body and nurture your body. Clean the emotions and feel how the air comes out your body and release any sadness if there is around. Return to normal breath. Bring your hands to your heart. Smile to that moment. Smile to your face. And gently open your eyes. I hope this breathing exercise was as nourishing as it was for me. Now we continue towards the end of the video. Another beautiful thought in the movie Taste and See is around the idea of the need to grow based on the concept of no-till farming. No-till farming is an agricultural technique for growing crops of pasture without disturbing the soil through tillage. In this case, the rationale behind is to feed the soil and not the planet. For me, this is another clue towards the way we should nourish ourselves. We should eat to feed our roots and not just the body. My next point is related with developing our relationship with food. Why? Because when we are eating food or taking herbs, we are in a relationship with the plant. We need to stop seeing food and the plants they come from as inert substances, as inanimated beings. If this were so, food would be unable to keep us alive. So food and the plants they come from are full of life, and because of that we can establish a relationship with it. In naturopathic medicine, for example, the understanding that there is an intrinsic intelligence in humans and in plants is very clear. If there is sufficient support and foundation for body to heal, it occurs in a very natural way. The body and plants are encoding for health and not for illnesses. Here, I would like to open quotation marks to the language we use once again. For some, naturopathy is a form of alternative medicine, and I have used this term a lot. Naturopathy, as other type of medicine, are sciences that have prevailed for thousands of years as the ways for the body heal itself. So they were the original medicine, naturopathy and many other ancient traditional healing systems, as Ayurveda and Chinese medicine, and some that I mentioned before. But now, even if they were the original medicine, now we call them alternative. And on the other hand, allopathic medicine, which is the one that is practiced today by doctors, nurses, and other professionals to treat symptoms and diseases using drugs, radiations, or surgery, is a science-based modern medicine. So, strictly speaking, we should call the allopathic medicine alternative because it arrived later on in time. I close these quotation marks. But now, coming back to our relationship with food, just imagine when you prepare a coffee, a tea, or a herbal medicine, there is something very powerful about putting in the kettle the water, bringing to boil, pouring cup over your coffee, tea, or herbs on it, letting them steep, strain them out, and drinking. Just imagine that versus buying your drink on the go in a plastic container and walking in a rush while you drink it. Do you really think it does have the same effect on you? In the first example, when you prepare your drink, you are participating in your medicine making and you are drinking the herb that you just prepared. Here I want again to highlight it's not just an act to put fuel to ourselves, but connecting with what we put in our mouths. This idea led me to elaborate a little bit more into the empowering practice of mindful eating. Thich Nhat Hanh, in his book Savor, Mindful Eating, Mindful Life, explain how mindful eating allows us to fully appreciate the sensory delight of eating and to be more conscious of the amount and nature of all that we eat and drink. Engaging in mindful eating, even if only for a few minutes, can help you recognize how the practice of mindfulness encompasses all spheres and activities, including ordinary tasks. For those who think that there is no time for practices to balance the mind, like meditation, mindful eating, as any other activity, become windows in our busy life to nourish the mind. Take drink a glass of water, for example. If we are fully aware that we are drinking the water and we are not thinking in anything else, we are drinking with our whole body and mind. While eating, we can also be aware of how we feel and how we consume, whether we are truly hungry and whether we are making the best choices for our health and the health of the planet. Eating in this way, you feel the strength, freedom, and pleasure and how they are attainable. This is just the tip of the iceberg of a practice that has supported me in all areas of my life more than any other practice. And this is the reason and my motivation to do the videos that are coming ahead in the coming weeks. For now, I leave you with this. My second invite for you this week is to gather with your loved ones and make a feast to celebrate like it was the last time. You don't have to cook anything complicated. You can eat as an ordinary day, but make it extraordinarily with your full presence, eating very slowly and attentive to others in the table. The image behind is an artwork from Angelina Tames called Family. Look at those beautiful branches of the tree interacting with other trees around in a very intense color. As the color shows here intensity, we can experience the same that we are experiencing when we look at a picture like this when we are eating. So this is my invite for this week. To finish, I would like to leave you with this prayer from the Lakota culture. The Lakota are Native American people. I read recently this prayer from Nick Polisi, who invites us to reflect in the word trust in his poem, asking ourselves, when did we stop trusting ourselves? When did we start giving that trust and that power away? In many ways, the well-being path is a process of reestablishing that trust with the infinite that resides inside of us, just awaiting to be activated. So let's go with the prayer. Great mystery, Teach me how to trust my heart, my mind, my intuition, my inner knowing, the senses of my body, the blessings of my spirit. Teach me to trust these things so that I may enter my sacred space and love beyond my fear, and thus walk in balance with the passing of each glorious sun. Today my recognition go to Seo-Young Lee, who wrote the paper Enchanted or Endangered by Sleep. Again, to the book The Fourfold Path to Healing, the book Savor, the documentary from Taste and See, which I highly recommend you to see, and the artist Angelina Thames. Thank you for listening and meet you in the next videos. Bye bye.